All right, well, it looks like we've got somebody here already. I do not have my computer, my laptop set up for looking at the chat because I don't plan on being on here that long for a lot of reasons. One of which is this is not organic apple cider vinegar. This is not. This is a whiskey, Evan Williams, 43%, 96 proof. You'll understand by the time this video is over why I decided to do this. Now, I have a friend that's probably going to get online here in a minute. I'm not going to say much about it, but I'm going to wait to give him the toast. I told him that I'd give him a toast when he comes up, and I figure it'll be here. I'm going to give him a couple of minutes, but he'll know. Just got off the phone with him. He is let's see, he was an old colleague of mine. Jesse, how you doing? I'll bet you I've been rattling some cages with my religion, spiritual discussions lately. Man, I tell you what, it's the comments by some of these people. I mean, if they could skin me alive, burn me at the stake, they do it. Well, I'll tell you what, it's amazing. But there's some things I won't move on, and you know all about that, Jesse. But anyway, I appreciate everything that you're doing. Rattle on. Yeah. I appreciate everything that you do. Your uploads are always very important, no matter what the subject matter. Your music is great. I don't have a studio anymore, and I don't really have any music that I can record with and play along with. Plus, with all the injuries I have, I probably embarrass myself. I'm not nearly as fast or as capable as I used to be, and my singing is absolutely horrible. But at any rate, okay, I guess I'll go ahead. Thanks again, Jesse. BP Earthwatch is here. So, some things are happening. I mentioned the other day that when Russia gets ready, they will start to move with the ISR cover over their ground forces. The ISR is intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. They have taken out, apparently at this point, almost all of and they've been working on it for a long time, we've known that, taken out almost all of Ukraine's air defense, if not all of it that matters. And Biden, to prove how much of a hero he is, went to Ukraine today. It was a secret mission. Nobody knew he was going to go there. And, all of that nonsense. Man, I tell you what, the United States is in so much trouble. We have that big thing in Ohio happen the other day, and something else happened today, which is another reason why I'm coming on here, because of these events that are occurring. And I'm going to explain that a little more in detail here in a minute. But I want to talk about what's coming now. I just tweeted out that I would not doubt that as soon as Biden departs Kiev, within a few hours, the major Russian offensive will probably begin, at least the air campaign. Got word today that there are now 400 aircraft, Russian aircraft, sitting on the tarmacs ready to go. All they're waiting for is the order. They won't do it while Biden's there. But as soon as he leaves, I think they're going to give Biden a big FU and start. I mean, that's the way it's looking to me. There might be some other people with better information that will say that that's probably not going to happen. But I think that with that many 400 combat aircraft of various types, from bombers to fighters, of course the surveillance craft, all those things, ready to go now, I think it's imminent. And I'm just telling you that if Biden leaves, and he's going to leave, but whenever he does leave, I wouldn't doubt that within the next 24 hours of him departing, that this thing starts in earnest. Bakhmut is, for all intents and purposes, under Russian control, maybe not totally as far as occupying the town, but nobody in Bakhmut's really going anywhere. Nobody of any significance. No supplies are coming in and out of any significance. and what the Russians will allow to come in and out, they're going to do it so that they can rain hell down on the Ukrainians, just as I said a few days ago. So the way it's looking right now, I would say that Biden apparently got a promise from Putin that Putin wouldn't kill him while he's in Kiev. In other words, no rocket attacks or anything like that. So he's out there making his big show, promising Ukraine more money, while Americans are really, really suffering now from events that are occurring, not just the food shortages and the finance problems and everything else that's going on here, which I'm going to get into in a minute. But Biden has to give Ukraine more and more money. You know, if you can't see that your government is at war with you right now, and they'll use any means and any excuse to continue that war on you, wow, you're really not paying attention. But at any rate, I wanted to come on and say it looks like I'm anticipating that probably within the next 24 hours, 48 hours, I'm not sure. Could be a little longer. You know, these things, I'm not in Putin's mind or the mind of the Russian high command, but I think it's about ready to really roll. And really, the Russians don't have any choice under the circumstances. I saw today where there was a story, I think Sky News in Australia put it up, but it's about the U.S. war machine trying to ramp up, and it's doing quite a bit, but it's not gonna be able to be enough to stop what's coming here in the next few days or so, and it'll be those logistical lines will be totally destroyed by the Russians, probably all the way across the Atlantic or any place else they try to send this stuff. I would think that the Russians would start because of the situation with NATO opposing them and actually assisting Ukraine. You know, we cry the blues that China might be giving Russia or Iran might be giving Russia weapons, but it's okay for us to give Ukraine weapons. The hypocrisy in this godforsaken country over here is just unbelievable. So, as I called for, I didn't call for it, I said last year, it was probably about 3 to 4 weeks into the war, I said, you know, I understand Putin has to be careful here, but he's really got to interdict those logistical lines deeper in Ukraine. And it just wasn't happening. And I'm going, you know, and we understand now why, of course, because he was hoping to get a negotiated settlement just by the show of force. But regardless, at this point, he knows that nobody in the West, because the United States lies through its teeth, and NATO is its little lackey, U.S. lackey, so they lie through their teeth. We know about the Nord Stream thing. Looks like now that Norway is implicated, of course. And of course, Stoltenberg, General Stoltenberg, the leader of NATO, is Norwegian. And so what's happened now is if this whole thing comes out the way Seymour Hersh has said, Norway is implicated, maybe some German officials, certainly the Netherlands, certainly Denmark, and the United States and the UK. And Stoltenberg, the head of NATO, might have been kept the lid on this when one of his own countries is attacked by another ally. Holy crap. The United States is just, it's turned into worse than dung manure. Everything it touches is shit. Anyway, so Putin and the Russians can't negotiate anymore. And they're going to have to do deep interdiction on the logistical lines, as I have long said would be necessary. And if they're going to do this big push, they're going to have to push back the Ukrainians, as Colonel McGregor said, at least as far. Once they have a front line, they're going to have to push the Ukrainians back. NATO is really the issue. Push back NATO even further so they can't lob those artillery shells into Russian-held territory. This is going to get bad. So Biden and his bravado and his whatever he's, you know, they keep this thing going because Ukraine has got something on Biden, right? Obvious. Ukraine has something on Biden. If he doesn't help them out, And it's probably because of things like coming out of the WEF, of course, Klaus Schwab and those guys. You know how all this works. So they've got some blackmail over Biden, so he's got to keep doing this. And of course, the stupid ass United States Congress keeps letting it go. So we're a party to this war, whether Biden admits it or not. We are a part of this war, and now we are open to attack. Yes, we are. And I think it's ongoing already. I think my friend is probably up now. My friend, here's to you and yours. Thanks for sticking with me through all these many, many years. It's been over 4 decades now, buddy. 4 decades. Here's to you. And I'm going to finish this and have more. By the way, that's my second sip, maybe my third. So my being irritated right now has nothing to do with this. Next point. The fact that they almost totally ignored the Ohio chemical spill, burn, disaster that now is injuring people, killing animals, ruining livestock and agricultural land, and people apparently now may be starting to die from this. It's a World War I type of chemical warfare agent, vinyl chloride. This is really bad, and there's some other things in there as well. The EPA has shown itself, both in this and in many of the other things that's happened, to be nothing more than a front agency for the takedown of the United States. Just like the Department of Justice, just like the Department of Defense, which ignores our southern border. I know, they got to get an order from the president to do it, but that's my point. And then there are people in the military say, oh, no, we can't do that. Posse comitatus. No, guarding our border is exactly what the military is supposed to do under the Constitution. Posse comitatus has to do with enforcing civil law elsewhere. But I hear all these excuses because the government doesn't want to prevent the citizens from being hurt, having their savings and everything taken from them, even their very lives. They want that. And I've been calling this out for a long time. So, the Ohio disaster. 200-mile radius, I think it is. Maybe it's a 400-mile radius. It's one of the two. 400 miles in diameter or 200-mile radius. I'm not sure which it is, but at any rate, the fact is that this is ruining the water, the air, the land, the agriculture, the plants. This is bad news. Those poor Amish. I mean, they got hit hard with this thing over there on the west side, rather, of Pennsylvania. This is and east side of Ohio. It's really bad. But this is an attack on us. Now, did the government just ignore this so that it would be another disaster we have to deal with? And they can say, no, we're not going to help you. We're going to go give money to I can't call him Zelensky anymore. I kept hearing Alex Christoforou saying Olensky. And I was going, why is he doing that? Well, then I found out why. Zelensky outlawed the Z. So you can't use Z. So in his name, Alex Christoforou went ahead and granted him that, and so he doesn't call him Zelensky, he calls him Olensky. I thought there was some other thing with the Greek language or something, but that's what it is. So, at any rate, everything goes to this supposed war of Russian aggression, never talking about what brought all this about in the first place. Oh, they were talking about it 3, 4, 5 years ago, with the Maidan and with the how do I say this, the Azov type people, doing the horrible things that they were doing to people. It was, on the news lately. But as soon as the war really got started, of course, now it's all Russia's fault. I don't like it either way. All right, but from a military standpoint, I can understand why Russia is having to act. The people in the eastern Ukraine area there in Donbass have been slaughtered for the last 8 years, almost 9 now, and nobody's come to help them. The Russians did it first, and then they got tricked with the Minsk Accords just to get them out of there, and then of course NATO started building up Ukraine's army again. It's all lies. This place is a fortress of lies and deceit. So the Ohio thing allowed, the government has allowed it to become a weapon against the American people as they send aid to Ukraine, supporting a 1939's type German regime there, by the way. Okay, that's the first thing. The Ohio thing's out of control. Patriot Nurse, as I told you the other day, gave a very good rendition from a chemist. She summarized the findings of the chemist and said how bad this is, and it's bad. Okay. Now, we've had attacks on our food storage and processing facilities. Right around 200 now of various types have gone up in flames over the last 2 years. The most recent one, I think, was about a month or so ago when the chicken farm, I think it was in Pennsylvania, I'm not sure, somewhere back east, with 100,000 chickens went up in flames. This is how you destroy a food supply. And as I explained, the beginning of it was Bundy Ranch, that entire thing surrounding Bundy Ranch, which I said at the time when I was reporting on that and saw what the federal government was doing, that this was not about taxes. It was not about grazing fees. It was not about a desert tortoise that was endangered. It was about stealing and destroying your food supply. And now it's high gear. So not only are they burning down whoever's doing it, right? Could it be government agents? Yeah, or it could just be all those people they're letting across without ID on our open borders. As I said the other day, we're wide open for invasion of forward operating teams, special forces type people. They don't have to be well trained. There probably are well trained forward operation forces here. Maybe, and that's who these people are actually working for. They're actually doing the arsons and stuff. I don't know. But all I know is that when you're at a war, which the United States and NATO is at a war with Russia now, nobody's arguing that anymore. Why are we not protecting our southern border? Why are we not protecting our borders altogether? Because they want us to be destroyed, ladies and gentlemen. That's why. That's counterintuitive, you say, Roy. How can they wage war if we're destroyed? You don't understand how these people think. They want you gone, so they're the only ones left. They get everything. Okay, so today, as I said, there are these arms factories in the United States that are gearing up, but it's too little, too late. However, on top of that, where are they going to get the steel for making the weapons that they're supposed to make? Guess what happened today? Anybody know? What happened today is there is a metal fabrication factory, a huge one, that blew up in Ohio, no less. In Lima, Ohio, is where Abrams tanks are made. I don't know how close this metal fabrication factory is to that area. But regardless, all of our weapons manufacturing depends on these metal fabrication and metal companies. And this thing blew up. We still don't know how many casualties, if any, there were, but I suspect there probably were. Okay? We're not hearing much about it, the implications of this, but the implications are that we're now witnessing, yeah, they will say Russia did it. It doesn't matter. I wouldn't doubt that they did, BP Earthwatch. It's like I said a few minutes ago. Russia now knows that they have to interdict logistical support deep into enemy territory. Best, of course, by surreptitious means, right? Then again, it could just be that our own operatives, are doing it, but I suspect it's because the people that are coming across the southern border have free reign to do whatever they want, right? The goal is the takedown of the American people. I've said that now for years, and I know you understand that, Jesse. That's the goal. The war with Russia is just incidental to the destruction of our rights and freedoms, our protections. First Amendment, Second Amendment have to go. We've already lost pretty much the Fourth, Fifth. Look what's happened to the January 6th people, right? So they closed down our lead production facilities under Obama about 8 years ago, 6 years ago, 8 years ago, I guess it was, right? Our last lead mine and factory was closed here in the States. I suspect that's one reason why you see such an increase in ammunition, not just because the government's buying it all to keep you from getting it, but because we have to now, I guess, import lead, probably from South America, China, wherever we have to get it, so that increases the costs, right? And now we have this attack, and I think that's what it was, an attack on this metal facility, this metal plant. So either way, whether it's deep interdiction by Russian forces, or whether it's because our own government has been funding these enemies coming across our borders without being vetted, either way, the result is the same. We're going to be sitting here. Biden just sold a bunch more oil from our strategic oil reserves. Did you notice the price of gas hiked up again? Because it's not being released for the United States. He's sending it to other places, one of which is China. What? They're talking about going to war with China, and they're still sending them oil? This isn't stupidity, ladies and gentlemen. It's disguised as stupidity. No, this is, again, designed to take us down. And we've allowed this evil government to do these horrible things over the last 60 years. It's almost like we deserve it. I don't like to say that, but that's kind of where we are. I could talk about a lot of other things too, and you all know what they are. So there we are. I wanted to come on and give you that information today. If you hadn't heard, I did put it up in my community posts above. You go there, and a little article about this factory being destroyed is in there, and we still don't know the casualties. I would suspect there are a number. This thing, when it blew up, apparently spread shrapnel, for lack of a better term, for quite an area outside even the factory area. So I suspect that there are injuries, if not massive death on this thing. I don't know that yet. They're calling it a mass casualty event, but I don't think they've numbered any casualties yet. But this is a problem, and you're going to see more of this, whether done by our own intelligence community that wants to see us destroyed, or whether it's done by enemies that they've made overseas so that we'll still be destroyed. They're all coming for us, ladies and gentlemen. We have nobody, and I know people don't want me to say that, but can you look at the events and understand that you can tell from the events that that's what it is? Biden went to Ukraine when there was this major environmental disaster in Ohio, not to mention the fact that it's weapon grade type of chemicals. Is it that he's stupid? Doesn't matter. The people that advised him should have said, hey, you need to go there. We need to do something now. The EPA wasn't going to do anything until Trump said he was going to go visit the place, and all of a sudden, oh, well, the EPA better go in and check it out. We're being played, ladies and gentlemen, to our own destruction. From our social, cultural, no, they're not cultural, from the social degenerate programs that are going on now, read between the lines, to shutting down our food supply, to talking about blocking the sun, but they still want to do solar energy. Tell me how that works when you're going to do both. Shutting down our oil production, and yet they're going to start, they're in a war with Russia, and they're talking about a war with China, and we don't have any oil of our own. Nobody's that stupid, ladies and gentlemen. They're doing it on purpose to destroy Americans. Where's Greta? That's what I mean. It's all a sham. Yeah, where's Greta in Ohio? Greta Thunberg, in case you don't know who that was. Now, I can't really see the chat. Like I say, I have to have it up closer and I have to wear my other glasses now. I can tell some of the things you guys are saying. So, to pile all this on, Russia has its nuclear subs now out. Uh, they have nuclear armaments ready to go. And as the title of this video says, which again shows that your country's leaders don't give a shitty ass damn about you, Russia has enough subterranean um, shelters to house every Russian citizen. Did you know that? Gee, let's see, how many do we have? You ever checked? You're on your own. The best you're probably going to be able to do is climb into a sewer. And I'm not so sure that's a good idea. Yeah, 0. They're really concerned about you. They're letting us be invaded. They're allowing our food supply. They themselves, the EPA, the BLM, not Black Lives Matter, but Bureau of Land Management, attacking our food supply, the FDA, the extant illness being treated with dangerous products forced on people by and large. Ladies and gentlemen, they're warring on us. The rest of the world is finally starting to wake up and they're pulling away, which is why the dollar is tanking now. The petrodollar is going away. They realize that supporting this Leviathan beast over here is just destructive to everybody. So the smart nations are pulling away. These guys over here are about as dumb as a box of rocks. Or they've been promised things. Europe, I'm talking about. The EU, NATO, etc. So that's my briefing for the day. I just thought you better know, if you hadn't seen these things in the news, what's going on. I think Russia's ready to move now. I think they are. I would try to look at the chat. Let's see. DP says they will watch Babylon burn from the ships. That's right. It says it'll burn in one day, doesn't it, Jesse? Oh, that's just 2,000-year-old nonsense. Hey, you know, history repeats itself. Or the really correct thing is it rhymes. People don't change. Prophecy has a lot to do with human nature. People know how people are going to act under certain circumstances, so the prophecies can repeat themselves, and here we are. In its day, I know a lot of people won't want to hear this, but in its day, Jerusalem was considered Babylon by the esoteric groups. Yeah, Babylon was considered to be Jerusalem. Well, things change slightly, but the story remains the same. Okay, I've jacked my jaws long enough here. Roy, another quick hit. Turkey as Shemesh struck. Oh, that's right. That's right. There's a lot of that going on. Of course, we had the earthquake in Turkey. I personally think that was a weapon of some sort because Turkey had told off the American ambassador. They wanted to do the same thing with Hungary. Weren't quite able to pull that off, but they did send Samantha Powers there. That's bad news. That means they're going to try to do a color revolution and overthrow Orban and the government. These guys are nasty. I mean, if it's like I said, if they don't win, they're going to destroy everything. This one happened today. Oh, when I was getting to that, Jesse, I'm sorry. I just brought up the Turkey thing with the earthquake just so people would know that happened. That's right, yeah. A lot of this is solar, but you know it can be exacerbated by, and I'm sure they have them. We talked about DEWs before and magnetic weapons, HAARP, for instance. They can exacerbate these things with a little bit of oomph, push it over the edge. And don't you think that it doesn't happen? Right, Jesse? Obviously it does. And I'm not saying you. You, of course, know. I'm speaking to the rest of the people here and others who might want to know. These things do exist. Fact, they do exist. So while the sun might drive it, particular weapons that the governments admit that they have to some extent can exacerbate natural circumstances and make them worse. So yeah, and Turkey's a likely target because they're trying to pull away from the petrodollar. If it, let's see, if I could, I would sink the swamp. Boy, don't get me started, Jesse. That den of iniquity and evil, absolutely. And we have nobody there. You have Rand Paul. Oh, Ted Cruz is for the war in Ukraine. The asshole sent his own daughter over there. I tell him that. Send your kids over there, buddy. Go ahead and do it. Send your kids. Tell them to volunteer for the Ukrainian army. Go do it, Cruzy boy. God, I hate these people. Oh, you're not supposed to hate people. You're supposed to love everybody. The pacifism of Christianity has its limits, okay? Has its limits. I talked about that the other day with a lady. As a matter of fact, I said, it's funny because Jesus said if you don't love him, then the Father doesn't love you. Sounds like to me that's pretty conditional. Okay, was there anything else I was going to bring up? I can't think of anything else. I've been rattling here now for, oh my gosh, a half an hour. Has it really been that long? I thought I was going to do this quick. Okay, so I'll go ahead and go. I can't think of anything else that's pressing at the moment. I mean, we could talk ad infinitum about everything that's going on. But Representative Margie Taylor Greene came out and said that it's time for the United States to separate these different places. The Reds and the Blues have to separate and become their own nation states. And I think that's where we are. I think that's really where we are. And of course, that serves the purposes of the evil ones here, of course, and it serves the purposes of the evil ones in New York, London, Brussels, and of course, Davos with Klaus Schwab and our I'm not sure if Yuval Noah Harari is the husband or the wife. I'm not sure which he is. Look at that pictures of those two. I'm not sure. I really don't know. But he doesn't think you should have heterosexual sex. He wants to destroy the man-woman relationship. Isn't that interesting? And so many Christians have gone along with this bullshit for 2,000 years, not knowing the Roman Empire was trying to disintegrate the Messianic movement. And then yeah, okay, this is getting to me now. I'll shut up. I also posted on the community post today. I had a question from the video the other day that I was doing on fallen angels and gods, and the question was about my understanding of the continuation of the man-woman relationship if the proper things are done beyond this sphere. And I answered that. If you'd like to go see it in the community posts, it's there. I do consider that to be the way things are. Christians hate that because they want. Sometimes I think people that don't like these relationships to continue, as I say in that little deal there that I wrote, that they've either failed in their personal relationships or they hate the fact that they were created as men and women. It's got to be one of the two. Not just because Jesus supposedly said it, because if they're reading it that way, they don't understand the culture, they don't understand the circumstances, historical or otherwise, as I pointed out ad infinitum in my religion series. But at any rate, I addressed that. And I guess we will do a call-in show tomorrow on Tuesday. Probably in the afternoon. It's a school day, so the kids will be home about 5. That's when they kind of jump on, I think. I might start I'm talking about mountain time. I might start as early as 3 in the afternoon or 4. I'm not sure yet. Today would not have been a good day. I'm surprised I haven't been knocked off of here right yet now. But we'll do that. We'll do a call-in show tomorrow. Like I said, I have my speaker, my external speaker, so you can hear the callers a little bit better. And I'm going to stick to that where you call in, you have to have your comment or your question prepared and take no longer than 30 seconds to put it out there so that we can get a number of people into the calls, okay? and that way I can answer it after you hang up, and then we can move on. Now, if it's something that everybody finds important, what that's going to be, I don't know. I'll have to judge it. We might take a little bit more time, but that's what we're planning on doing tomorrow. Um, we'll see how that goes. Okay, hopefully I've worked out some of the bugs. Okay, I'm rambling now. Prep, pray, defend yourselves, but don't go looking for trouble. Stay out of the way. Find friends of like-mindedness. Get your stuff together. Even if, you may not be able to set up a place out in the mountains somewhere or whatever, but do the best you can with what you've got. Okay? The IRS is gearing up, starting to harass people already, and it's not just the billionaires. They came out and they're going after the restaurant servers on the tips. Oh, but they're gonna go out. These new agents. They're gonna go get the money from the billionaires and the millionaires that don't pay their fair share. Right. And the first group they go after, nonprofit organizations that are conservative. Just happened today. And the people, some of the hardest working people in our country, servers in restaurants, now they're attacking them. Our government's supposed to protect us in our liberties, not attack us and take them away. Yeah, digital money card, right? Yeah, I know. Thanks for mentioning that, Jesse. So get ready as best you can. Eyes on the horizon, ears to the ground. In case you know what that means, the way the native warriors from time immemorial, they would watch the horizon and they put their ear to the ground. They even showed this in Lord of the Rings, the first one, I think. King Aragorn and his group are running along the plain there, the mountains, and they were trying to figure out where the orcs were that had taken the two little guys. And so King Aragorn gets down and he listens to the ground. Tips will be a barter. Yeah, it's going to have to go to that. But they'll probably charge him for that too. They went after barter people here a few years, about 20 years ago, Jesse. I don't know if you knew that or not. They tried to tax that. But at any rate, so that's what that means. Keep your eyes on the horizon, ears to the ground, listen to the rumblings, all right? Situational awareness on high, and I mean everywhere. Everywhere you go, you keep your situational awareness on high. And prep, pray, stay out of the way, but defend yourselves. Don't go looking for trouble, but defend yourselves. I think we've arrived at a very bad place. Marjorie Taylor Greene, she might have the only solution at this point, but I don't think it's really going to happen. Not that way. I think it's going to be rather than being able to choose it, it's going to be forced on it by the way the government treats people and allows enemies to destroy us. Till tomorrow night out here.